Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Fine Scale Show for November. This month will be a little bit different, but of course, Johnny's hosted, and we've got Chris Rude with us again, Ralph Rizzetti, and of course, Miles Hale. So, um, this month we're going to talk a bit about the Fine Scale Expo that me and Johnny and Chris and Mike Dettinger all attended, and how that kind of relates to this show is probably the most logical place for us to kind of to show it off and some of that creative kind of creative effects that we saw there, and I think it inspired all of us a little bit. And you'll see some of the pictures from that experience. We'll talk about that. Then we'll talk about some of the places where this show is going to go. Over next year, so this will give us a chance to kind of calm down and do that. So before we get into it real quick, we'll take a brief break for station identification with Johnny Ram.
Thank you. Well, just say go to YouTubeMallBuilders.com. There you can check the schedules for the shows. The Tuesday and Wednesday shows are at 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. The Thursday night show and the Saturday once a month show, those are at 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern. And be sure and click on the eMag and sign up for your email notification when the eMag comes out. JD and his team do a good job on that. This month, being November, is dedicated to N-Scale, so be sure to check that one out. It'll be very interesting. And I guess now we'll turn it back over to Big Andy.
Big Andy. All right, so we'll take a look at some pictures, be a little more interesting than it just stared at us. We've all got some pictures of that of the show. The contest room is the probably the vast majority of the pictures that I have. I was pretty impressed by that level of modeling. And here's a good place for us to start. This is so there's a bunch of different categories. If any of you guys have been to the conventions and shows, there's different categories mostly based on size. So they have like a 2x2 category, a foot by foot, 18 by 18, 30 by 30, rolling stock. There's a few of these categories. Mike Dettinger built this when he competed in the 2x2 category. There was just a few in that category as well. It did this with I would call it a modeling clay. Let's not jump the gun there yet. I would call it a modeling clay, but we'll get Mike on a future show and talk about this particular product. He actually, Miles, do you know what he used to build the body of that tree with? What that clay material was?
You're mute.
Yes, he called me and we had a conversation about it before he took it to the contest. We were talking about it. It's pretty cool, I think.
What is it?
Well, he did, I believe, to the best of my knowledge, he did, it wasn't Durham's water putty, but it was something like that for the stones and for the tree part. Then it's the same thing that Fran uses for the clinics. Not Caspia, but I'll think of it in a minute.
Sedum. The tree
Sedum.
was sedum. Yeah.
He did sedum, and then we talked about using some of the net on there, and I think he did that somewhat for the foliage. And then I recommended that he go and get some paint. I think it's Accent that's sold at Michael's, and it has more than one green color to it, and it speckles as it comes out. It's the best thing I can describe. I'll go get a can in a minute and show you. But I think he threw some of that on it, and then he threw some ground foam on it as well. And I also talked to him about doing knock. I can't see if you got a close up of the base. Yeah, he was going to get some knock, or we also talked about taking sphagnum moss. Sphagnum moss is the same moss that they put in hanging baskets. Throw some of that in the blender. it becomes really great ground cover. And he was going to put that along with some of the knock leaves down around the bottom as if they had fallen off. So my guess is that's what he did for some of the finishing detail on there.
And then he used a leaf punch and punched some of these shaped leaves and put on top. So, and then around the back.
I think he did. We were talking about the knock ones, and then we were talking about him using his own punch as well.
Yeah, and punching it. It was the clay works was really, especially. I mean, he built the stone out of that and everything. It's all built out of sedum and a little bit of that clay.
Yeah,
and it's entirely unique.
Got a bird nest that she's holding on to, and it's pretty cool.
And here's another one in the 2x2 category. I think this was the winner in the 2x2. I believe it was. Maybe his got second or something, but. It's amazing what you can do in 2 inches by 2 inches. Doesn't matter how tall it is, because this one was, probably a foot tall. I don't know if I have another picture of that one. But the real modeling was in, and the 30 by 30 even was not as impressive. And I'm just going to start cruising through some of these so we can talk about them. Even the 30 by 30 was not as impressive as maybe the 18 by 18 or something. But though the guys who had done some of these larger dioramas, some of this, especially the larger scales, like those trees are just stellar. I mean, that's just exceptional modeling. But that's not by a long shot my favorite. And that one didn't win. I think this one's in 135th or 124th.
Those trees could be a bit taller. Just my opinion.
Yes. Yeah, especially for 135th. I mean, I never see trees built to anything close to scale. Virtually never. To the point that very, very often on this channel, guys give me a hard time for my trees as if they're, just massive.
So there's your 36 by 36, yard by yard.
And there's hundreds of dollars in just detail parts all spray painted black. And it's great, though. I mean, this one really looks good. And the board by board construction on, I got some of the interior pictures, but they're not as great. The complete interiors, obviously. That road work. Did you say that wasn't that you, Ralph, who told me who makes that stuff? That's that
downtown deco.
Yeah. It's incredible in person, the amount of detail that you get from it. Speaking of which, these are talking about what we'll have upcoming as we go into next year. Is we've got a couple structures like the one Lloyd had worked on and completed that I have my shadow box is done for, but haven't done the interior, and structures like that me and Ralph done from.
Imagine that.
Yeah, from back to that laser art from Nick Basney, which was at the show.
What, we lose Andy?
Yeah.
He muted himself for some reason.
You're muted, Andy.
Andy, you're muted, buddy. We lost him now.
Here he comes.
Well, here he comes back.
I didn't mute it; it muted me.
Oh.
And your camera's
finally
focus.
Somebody that doesn't like you.
Yeah. Apparently, it took a bite of its own for a moment. So yeah, I got a chance to meet Nick Basney in person. He's just a first class fella. I mean, I like his products anyway, but it's really good. I feel a lot better about spending money and working with somebody that's a pretty nice guy, an easy guy to work with. There it is. I've looked at this structure back here a bunch of times. I'm pretty sure that's a kit from like South River Bottle Works. I think. Could be wrong. I think building stuff
one
is
in the
much as-
foreground.
No, this background kit. I think this foreground kit is barbells. Possible. I think it is. I think I've got that. So, yeah, I think I got that from barbells. So not all of it's scratch built. A lot of it is, but I'm pretty sure that one was. And I meant to. My intention was to buy like a South River Bottle Works kit while I was there. I didn't see anybody that had a price that I couldn't beat on the internet like significantly. So
Not only that, there was just so much there.
Yeah.
You
It's
know?
all concentrated in one place.
Right.
Interesting calling term.
yeah, retail, coal retail. Even though coal big business in Eastern Kentucky, southwestern Virginia, southern West Virginia, where I bottle that area, the retail facilities for coal don't really look much like that in my area. That was more common in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, etc. Best I can tell, but really interesting. And I think that's an FSM kit, Fine Scale Ministries kit. Oh, too fast. Okay, I guess. This module was the one that has so much going on. I think it would. Not positive, but I think it did. I mean, I don't care how much modeling you do, or how quality of modeling you do, the amount of money that you'd have to spend in detail parts. Just detail parts. Build everything else from scraps, and you'd still spend $1,000 to build a competition model.
Well, let Sparky know. As far as these contest modules, they weren't for sale there in the contest room, no, but if you were to offer them enough money, I'm sure they would be glad to sell it to you. But we're talking big bucks here.
Well, when we get to the vendors, I got a few pictures, not a lot, but a few pictures because they were in glass cases of Howard Zane's structures. Anybody should check out Howard Zane. I mean, he's just a first-class modeler. He restarted the Brass Expo and has, a fairly big, brass website for brass locomotives and equipment. But he builds structures and sells them professionally, and you can buy them at the shows. And Thomas Lloyd, a gentleman, me and Johnny went down to visit his layout down in Atlanta a year, something like that ago. And he had a Howard Zane model, and it's a structure for around $2,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep. They're good, and when we get to there, I'll point out that they're Howard Zane, but you're going to spend about $2,000. Some of them more than that. This one was showing, but not competing because he wasn't done. And I talked to this guy for a while. It's really exceptional what he's doing, and I think he did wonders with painting. He painted the shadow and stuff in. Light does it too, but he said it's what he was talking about, painting the shadow in. He said I got to do a lot more of that before it's done, because light is what he's using to kind of shut off. We were talking about trying to get more light and hide it up top, and I was recommending take a look at using the LED strips like we used to on our layouts for overhead lighting and hide it up in the roof system, because he needs a lot more light in there. And all he used was those stains that we got, I've got, Johnny uses, and Hunter line. And those are laser cut on paper. Or probably some kind of cardstock, but still, ultimately paper.
The only thing I didn't like about that one is that you see the pink foam.
Well, yeah, that's why it's not done. That's why it said it's not a. That's why he's not competing. He's been working on it about a year and a half. He said he's got another year and a half, and then he'll enter for competition.
Oh, that wasn't in the contest room?
It was in the contest room, but it was only those back two tables back there were show only, not entered for competition yet.
Oh, okay.
Either for not being done or because they'd already won. If you've already won something, you can't enter it again. Just I mean, it goes to show. I mean, it's even on, especially on these dioramas, details what does it. But I mean, that's the difference in layouts that I'm impressed by, and all the rest for me is it's all in the detail. I mean, sometimes a design or an overall look and feel will win me over on a layout, but it's just about always the detail that kind of brings it home for me.
Well, as they say, the devil's in the details.
For modeling, it really is. I mean, that's the.
Well, yep.
Some of these fairly large too. I think I'm pretty sure that's O scale. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's 148. And of course, and you always, it's whatever you're working on at a particular time. If I was looking at this last year, a couple of years ago, I would have been enthralled by the trees probably because I was kind of obsessed at the time. Right now, I'm kind of obsessed with roads. I've done a little bit of that too, and that's what I'm going to be doing some on the upcoming shows. I ordered some of the monster model work, wood, road material. Talk about some more of those techniques and what we're going to be doing upcoming shows with roads and sidewalks. I got the color funny on those, but I think most of them are using plaster.
For what, Andy?
Well,
that's Chuck Dones.
Yeah, that's right, Chuck Doan. He's the guy who, well, I don't know if he created or started it, but I know he's the guy that I had seen the wood chipping and pilling effect from using the mineral spirits and acrylic paint technique that I think Ralph actually probably turned me onto that to begin with. I showed that on one of the earliest episodes of the Fine Scale Show. Chuck Doan is the guy that that kind of that inspired us to start using that technique.
Mm-hmm.
God, it's so. And I bet he's won several shows with that. I've got this kid. It's like 30 or 40 years old. That's why I kept taking a few pictures of that one.
Yeah, that was a cool one.
Paper road material. That's the road base and sidewalks that come with it, because I've got that kit. I've done a basic construction on it, but it's just paper. I think I don't think paper's the best road material per se. This might have been my favorite. Had the best combination of color, road. All the interior was right on it. The kitty car wash, I can't remember. I don't know if that was competition. I think that was just a kit from somebody. I just can't remember. Jimmy Dignan. Maybe a kid him and Scotty Mason did together or something. Fairly well known.
Was it you or Johnny that really liked that one? I forget. I think it was Johnny.
Yeah, I think Jimmy Dig. I think it's Jimmy's Bikini Car Wash. It's Jimmy Dignan's. Either he put that kit out, or he and Scotty Mason or something put that kit out. Fairly well known, fine scale, world of kits, Craftsman kits. That's what sells it. It's the newspaper. That's the. I think that's that wood. I'm pretty sure I went back and took some more pictures of that road because I'm pretty sure that's that's the wood material from Buster Bottle Works, Jimmy Simmons stuff. And I'm about sure it's what it is. And I went ahead and because I mean you can see that it's a thin skin. So I've already ordered some of that. We'll talk about the show on a future show because. That Plaster Street from
The brick road. Yeah.
yeah.
Too bad it's not yellow brick.
I know. I started to say that when you said that a minute ago.
You're not in Kansas anymore.
That's right.
You are though.
No, Missouri. Close though.
These shows will let you realize how far from Kansas we are when you go look at some of this modeling that we ascribe to try to accomplish this level.
Yeah, Sparky 107 said the people creating the scenes said don't have time for a model train layout. LOL. Not if it takes them a year or 3 to complete one. And Ralph responded, a lot of these do fit right into the depressions on the layout. So I'm sure they put other buildings out first just to have something out. Then when these are completed, they add them to the layout.
Placekeepers.
Yeah. And how you doing, Ron? Been a little while, Ron Kleiss.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Kleiss as in nice.
Kleiss.
You thinking that you right on point today. That water's got to be done with Charles Kirk's technique.
Artist medium.
Yeah, that's
Artist gel. You can do with silicone too. Silicone caulking. Clear silicone. You tease it up and then you paint it.
Or Woodland Scenics water effects.
Yeah, that's another one, but they're on the tail end. They're coming in the back door right now.
Sorry, had to throw it in.
Yeah.
all right. If you would take a look at, I'd like to take a look at some of the pictures you guys got, Johnny. If you would take a look at some of the contest room pictures that you got, let's take a look at what were the things that impressed you in there.
Let me get mine going. Yeah, all of it. Yeah.
By the way, Andy, that leaf punch you were talking about,
Yeah.
you get it from a company called greenstuffworld.com. And they have 4 or 5 of them, and it punches out the leaves.
It's quarter inch scale though, right? It's O scale. It's the smallest you get.
You can get it in 35th. You can get it in quarter scale. You can get it.
Okay.
I think 35th is the smallest you can get it in.
Where is it?
It's greenstuffworld.com.
All right, Andy. Let's go to something else. I lost mine. The viewer's not working right.
Okay.
Let me see if I can get it back up while you're talking.
Well, and I'll do it.
I can kind of maybe show what I have.
Please.
So I didn't really take too much because you guys were taking care of all the pictures. So I figured I'd just steal stuff off of you. But I don't know if you mentioned it or not, but trackside scenery was there, Joey Ricard. So I took a couple pictures of his layout because of the fact that I'm so used to seeing it on the internet, and it was just different to see it in real life. So I took a video, and I'll show you a couple of pictures of what I have. So this is a video of the layout.
But that layout does look quite a bit better in person than I expected it to. Given that I've tried a few of his techniques, like the furnace filter brush, and it's
Yeah.
maybe an acquired technique because it comes out looking a little rough. Mine came out looking a little rough. I tried it several times and screwed up.
It's just amazing how deep it looks when it's really not that big.
Oh, the photos are photo backdrops are a real winner. That new one that he had,
Yeah.
that rural town, that really is a cincher for me because that's a bit of a pain point for me to find a '50s era.
Yeah. So this is underneath the one bridge that he has with the river going through. I kind of feel like I'm at work in this picture. That didn't come out very good. But it's a pretty neat little layout to shoot video and photos on.
Which is perfect for him. That's really what he's designed around.
Yeah, but he's trying to sell backdrops. I mean,
Yep. It works. It's
Yep.
a very convincing sales pitch.
here's I think one of the contests from that I took a picture of. I forgot I took a picture of. It's the one sawing and planing mill because I have a infatuation with sawmills for some reason. But I took that. This is the crow. I took a picture of this because I was kind of fascinated with this, and Johnny and Andy will tell you.
I didn't see that.
This is that Crow River.
Scale stuff.
Yeah, this is they make detailed parts, and they had this horizontal boiler or whatever it was called.
Steam engine.
Yeah, no, the boiler in here is what I'm talking about.
Stationary boiler or whatever.
Yeah.
They had that for sale there, I guess, independent.
Yeah, it's like an $85 kit. But I'd like to eventually get it, so I took a picture of the shed that he had it in. Just kind of have a model and idea. But that's really all I took during the show. Because, like I said, you guys were like the Chinese tourists at the show. So,
Chinese tourist.
yes.
We kind of were.
All right, let me try this again on mine. See if I can get it to work. All right. I think mine are basically the same a lot of the same pictures as Andy's. I just biggest thing that was getting me was just all these details that put into it. All right, now you were changing just now. I don't know why I'm not getting a thing where I can change pictures.
Oh, it's on the side, in the middle, on the side. Right there.
Oh, different kind of viewer then.
Or you can use your arrow keys once you're in there.
Yeah.
But what keys?
Your arrow key.
Oh.
Excuse me.
Let's get this blown up where they see a little better. Okay. I mean, there's a lot of amazing good stuff in there to me. All of it was. I mean, it's just like Andy and I was talking about, just the amount of detail parts that they put in these things.
Well, I talked to a guy out front one time, and he had a handful of parts, stuff he had bought, and he had 20 bags, but you could have put it in the smallest paper sack you would ever get from a gas station. And he
Yeah,
spent just shy of $300.
yeah.
And he had a literal handful. I could have stuffed it in my pants pockets and walked out of there with it. He had spent $200 something.
He's got a mirror in the back there.
Yeah, he should have painted the bottom edge of it gray because you could see where the glass was cut. That's what gave it away, really.
Yeah.
If he painted the bottom edge of that mirror gray so it'd blend in the floor, you wouldn't have really been able to tell.
That's where Ron's trains and things. He was looking for the mirror surface on the front of the glass. You don't get that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, first they call it a first surface mirror.
Okay.
I like
Thank
the
you,
way he
Miles.
trimmed out the edges with the door trim and all. But the yellow safety paint down there at the bottom.
Steve Priest taught me that trick. We use a first surface mirror a lot. If you're trying to get a track level photograph, you can put that mirror down right on the track, then put your camera up and shoot it, down and across. And it puts the camera right down. I mean, dead on the ground.
And they just go edit it and flip the picture over because it's going to be reversed. But
right, yeah.
The first surface is just a reflective material put out on the front of the glass.
Correct. The polish is on the front, not on the back.
Yeah, the way these guys detailed, just that detail right there on the front dock of that building.
Yeah, those little resin bookshelves or whatever. One of those, actually, I think it's this one right here. One of the others, he had 20 or 30 of those. They're like $10 a piece for that little shelf. And there's one of those structures in there that there's $300 worth of just resin bookshelves or summer shelves.
Sierra West sell a lot of that stuff.
Are they resin or white metal?
Resin.
Okay.
Banta has them in wood, at least in O and S and HO, I think.
Yeah, Banta's a good company for O scale. They really have a, pretty decent catalog, and they've kept it up at O scale.
He's really an S scaler, but he does a heck of a lot in O.
Well, if you're going to build it already to where it scales up pretty well to S scale, it's not that hard of a reach to go to O, but people don't give enough credit to how hard of a stretch it is to go from HO to O. A lot of times it's a redesign, if not building it in different materials.
Yeah, now the guy sitting at the far end of this picture, he was real. He's not part of it.
I don't know. I'm not sure if he is or not. I talked to him for a minute or not, and I'm not positive that he's not.
Yeah, he's a little out of scale anyway.
Talking head.
Yeah. He was actually the guard of the room.
There was two of them, and they were judges too. I don't know how many judges they had, but
yeah, I got in there just before they started shutting down. Some people had already come in and got their models and walked out with them.
They don't do a popular vote. It's some guys that judge it.
Yeah, this year was judged by a couple of judges. They didn't do a popular vote. That's what Mike was saying.
yeah, I think a popular vote would that be my preference for sure. I don't like the idea of the judges. That's that builders and scale metal roofing too. I'd say it's the same stuff I've been using here on a few structures. It's good. Somebody's got some cardstock metal roofing that look pretty interesting too.
Yeah, this is an 18 by 18 table.
That seems to be the better. That's kind of the ideal size, in my opinion, for a diorama. Yard by yard, it's pretty doggone big. It depends on what you're doing. I mean, if you're going to try to do a sawmill any justice, you need a 30 by 30 at about any scale, other than maybe in scale. But
A lot of people, though, go by the mentality of go big or go home.
18 by 18 is where, I mean, that's the ones I was most impressed with. That's the ones they had the most, about a detail. I mean, they had the detail in the others too, but they really had the time to. It's kind of the right balance, it feels like, to be able to commit the time.
Yeah, there's a lot of good modeling there. That's for sure.
Well, vendors had some interesting stuff. There's no question the vendor room was fine. We spent more time in there chatting around with those guys than anything, but I think it's 135th.
Yeah, the only tags I saw was, saying either 2 by 2, 18 by 18, yard by yard, stuff like that. But
Yeah, they didn't say anything about modeling scale or even whose they were. That seemed kind of illogical to not have the person's name.
No,
Well-
that's how you judge it without knowing who did it.
yeah,
Okay, I get it. Especially if you're doing popular vote, that does make more sense. But the judges, they know who brought those in.
I was in there at the end. Okay, I mean, the contest, everything was over with. Like I said, I was there at the end of the day on Saturday, kind of doing a rush through shooting, and a bunch of these guys were off on the side talking, and they had built some of these kits, and they were naming off everybody that had built all these different kits. I mean, they all know each other, so.
Oh yeah.
I mean, all they have to do is just look at the kit, and they'll tell you exactly who built it. Yeah, I thought this was really good too. This wharf scene.
Yeah.
That kind of seemed like a big topic, the water with the boats there. I don't know, maybe it was just the way I read it, but
Oh, that's always a big topic in modeling, where the trades meet the water is, especially where trades meet the ocean. And I'm just as interested by river barges as I am the ocean front. But I mean, that's maritime modeling is just it's a very large subset of modelers that have that interest.
Yeah, I especially made sure I got a picture of this lighthouse because when I saw that, I definitely thought about Ron and his lighthouse that he built for his layout. Ron Kleiss. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, Ron Kleiss and I built the same one.
Oh yeah, whose kit was that?
We both did it from scratch. Miss Billion Lighthouse.
Okay. Oh, you built off the same prototype. Yeah. That's a good kit. Power lines are pretty extreme. They're like 16 gauge electrical wire or something, but
Yeah.
you're gonna find something. I mean, I'm picky, so I'm gonna find something with about all of them, but they were pretty exceptional.
Yeah, that filler, that impressed me.
Oh yeah, I don't think I got any pictures of that guy. Yeah,
The dog holding the hat.
Yeah.
the flesh colors are pristine.
I wonder if he's singing "The Devil Went Down to Georgia."
Yeah.
That's why Johnny likes it. That was
Yeah.
a cool one too.
Yeah, the sinkhole.
Yeah, that was one of the 2x2.
They had the water tower, which is a very nice job too on that. And I didn't want Mike being remiss of me for not showing a picture of his tree.
It's entirely regional. We talked to him, met with him the night before, and had ribs and talked. Actually, I think we hopped on the Thursday night show anyway. We were all kind of hanging out before, and he wouldn't tell us which one was his prior to.
No, he just gave us a hint.
Yeah.
Yeah, a very strong hint.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to miss.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something that struck me about all these. As good at modeling, as awesome modeling as it is, there's all these little controversies in modeling that we like to argue with. You know, to plaster, not to plaster, to uh, whatever. There's painted backdrops versus photo backdrops. There's all these arguments that modelers have long since had. Um,
Yeah, I
and
like
the
the way he
nail
did the
hole,
windows up here. Couple
yeah.
of them were ajar or open.
Well, the nail hole debate has been common amongst craftsmen modelers as long as I've been around, whether to do it. There's none of these that had nail hole details. And you tell me there's anything wrong with this. Because everybody, the people who argue against it say that you cannot scale a nail hole down. And I agree with that 100%. Unless you're modeling in, 1/22nd scale or maybe 1/35th period, you just about should not do it. Whether, maybe, for where nail holes are, where they leave rust streaks, but actually pinning it for holes, I'm in the camp that detail can't be scaled properly.
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
like
see any
this
of these
one.
guys that did it.
Yeah, I like this one here just because of the fruit detail and everything he had out front.
Yep. But some of the best modeling at the show that is as dedicated to this caliber of modeling as there is a show dedicated to this, and I didn't see a single one of these that bought into the nail hole modeling nail holes ideal. I didn't see it on any of them. I
What
say
if he
that now.
scratch built all those lobster pots?
I looked up. There's a few companies that make etched woods and various other woods. None of those look like that. They're made of real wood and screed. So I bet he made them. I went back and looked at them several times.
Yeah, I like the wood barrels. Those look pretty good.
Yeah, I think those are I've got some of those made out of. I've got some red. I've got some old white metal woods that are awful. But I've got some resin woods that are quite good, and I've got some wood woods from Campbell. Campbell used to make some little wood barrels, and I love them. They are superb. I mean, they're 30 years old. They haven't started 40 or 50 years old. They haven't stopped. They've been making them the same way as long as I've been on this earth, and they're just as good as any other part out there. Instead of this, I've never seen anybody get a barrel that looks better.
Yeah. I thought on this roof that was a little too much texture to be a sheet metal roof.
Yeah, I think it's corrugated steel or a steel. I don't know. It is pretty intense texture, especially
Yeah,
looking at it in
still.
person.
Yeah, it's still, a little too much texture, I thought.
Yeah, the camera
For a
doesn't do it
sheet
as much
metal
justice,
style roof.
and that's 1/35th scale, I think, or 1/22nd scale. And he did actually. Now that I'm seeing it, he did the nail holes.
Yeah, it was a sawmill.
It's pretty good to not be no further along than it is. But he said he spent about. I'm gonna take a little time off in the summer. He said he's been, it's all he's done for a year and a half. Hasn't been working on his layout, hasn't done anything else. Just a year and a half, just build that, which it's board by board, completely from scratch. Of course, that's also the resin shelves and stuff we were talking about. But
Yeah,
just gonna go
sliding
in his
door.
layout.
Yeah, I wanted to reach out and see if that door would actually move or not, but I restrained myself, kept my hands off of it.
I stood there and talked to the guy who built it for a few minutes. So I was surprised how he got the loose material, sawdust and stuff, to look as loose stacked as it looked, but it was all solidly adhered. Normally, glue does some damage to to the texture of some things.
Yeah.
Not if you spray it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, now this is Hunter Line's bridge kit here.
Really?
Yeah, that's a Hunter Line bridge kit because the guy built that during the clinic, because you built that bridge during the clinic. He built that bridge during the clinic, and then he put it in the contest. He says his first kit build.
Huh. And then he entered it in the contest. Well,
Yeah,
look good. Look
yeah.
fine. I don't see how you can screw those Hunter Line kits up if you take your time, though. They're just absolutely gorgeous.
Old snowplow.
There's only a couple pieces of rolling stock. Normally, like at the RPM shows, God, there's 1,000, maybe not that many, hundreds of rolling stock. I guess RPM shows there's a lot more rolling stock. There's not a lot of structures.
As far as I know, on that kit there, that guy only had that one light that worked.
Yeah. What are those? Probably bulbs. Oh, a little cafe.
Yeah,
I didn't pay much attention to that one for some reason.
that's the end of mine.
Well, I got, since we were talking, I've got we'll jump on to some of the other vendors, but while we're still talking about this fine scale stuff, I've got the stuff from Howard Zane. I got a few of his that I got pictures of. A lot of his are in glass, so they have a reflection. They're hard to get a good picture of. But these are the kits that he builds from scratch. So they are, for whoever was asking in chat, they are, some companies selling, most of these guys are selling, kits or materials or detail parts, but he is selling complete structures.
Oh.
But boy, you're going to pay. They're good. I mean, his work is exceptional. There's little things. Yeah, they're good.
What scale? HO?
Yeah, all his stuff's HO scale. To my knowledge, it's all HO. He's done. Howard Zane was doing professional layout building for a few years, and I think this is all he's doing now. He's not doing that, and I know he's done some O scale work. At least he's building some professional layouts in O scale. There's some things that bug me about some of these though, and if you drop $1,600, $1,800, $2,000, there's some things that would bug me. A little glue around the pole stuff. You pay that much money for somebody else to build you a structure, it ought to be pretty doggone amazing. All right, these are something else. We're on past Howard Zane's. I can run through some. Let's see. So let me change over back to the window room.
Well, when you click on the pictures, Andy, give it a few seconds to go coming up unfocused. It takes them about a second to focus.
Huh. Okay. This was an interesting thing to see in person. This is for the Seaport Model Works or whatever they build the resin and wood boat kits. This was done by Dave Frary, and if you go watch his videos on his YouTube channel, he talks about some of his water techniques. He's cerulean blue that he's so doggone fond of. Tired of hearing about cerulean blue, but still, a lot of his videos show
it is a good color to represent deep water.
I got it. You can't. His modeling is great. I'm just joking at his expense, and because he talks about it so much. But I mean, this is pretty, just a pretty nice diorama.
Who's that, Andy?
The
Dave Frary.
Dave Frary, yeah.
Dave Frary.
How about I cut my teeth?
There's that. there's that horizontal boiler I was showing in my other picture.
Yeah, I got a few things from them. Those guys really, and
Now
honestly, what's that, Chris?
that kit in O scale was $85.
And it's a glorified detail part. It's a big detail part, but it's still a detail part.
I just thought it looked so cool.
It's like Atlantic scale bottle or something. That was a pretty nice kit.
Yeah, you need to slow down a little bit, Andy.
Okay.
A lot of pictures.
Yeah, I've took ever since I got an iPhone about 10 years ago or so. I've been pretty picture crazy. I just moment I think about something, I'll snap a picture of it. This is Dick Basney stuff. Imagine that laser art street material, which I didn't know he had this available. I'm not sure he even does. I meant to talk to him about it, just didn't get a chance to. I mean, it looks like it's photoed in, but that's, there's rails. Okay, let's see. We jumped over that. Let's go to start back up here. Also, you can't go to Altoona, Pennsylvania and not do a little rail fanning. So there's somebody's wrecked his little trolley or interurban car, whatever. That was in one of those glass cages. This was Howard Zane, I think. I think that's a fine scale miniatures kit. That is a fine scale miniatures
I like
kit.
the sign. Yeah, fine scale is.
Yeah, his little vines are a little weird. You're not going to go to a fine scale show and not see a lot of George Celios' stuff. So, I mean, many of the vendors there that were not specific to brand had his stuff. I probably got the same pictures you did of Joey's.
Yeah, we were there at the same time.
Yeah, still.
Opposite sides of the bridge, though.
I watched him. He did a video some time ago on making his gravel roads with sifted concrete, and so I got down and close, and it didn't. I don't think that scales very well. I think the grout does a better job, but that's just me. I think sifted concrete might make a decent ballast. And all this vine material, he shows on his videos. So it's just it's not that polyfiber stuff from Woody's that everybody uses, which I use too. He uses cut your own
Furnace filters.
Yeah, furnace filter. And I tried it. It looked, everything I tried looked awful. And even the pictures his don't look exactly that perfect, but in person, it's a very, very convincing effect. It's good. And it does. It's a very small layout. Very small layout.
But
And
you
it looks,
feel like you're just there. You feel
I
it's
know.
depth of it.
It looks, and the pictures don't do it that justice, but it's a very small layout. It's 2 foot deep. It's 10 foot long or something like that. And it looks huge. I mean, standing in front of it, it just looks huge. Oh, let's see. Yeah. But it did. It really felt like I can't camera doesn't do it exactly the right justice because you can see the photo backdrop a lot more distinctly in the photo than you
Well, you
feel
got to
like.
slow down because when you're doing it fast, your pictures are blurred.
I see that.
We can't see what you're showing.
Well, it's not a picture; it's a video.
Oh,
And I was trying to get to another spot at the same time. It's hard to set and shoot a video of this stuff during the show too, because there's other people there. And you feel like,
Yeah, who's that guy over there in the corner shooting?
That was Chris taking a picture, I think.
yeah,
Taking another video.
It was me. I was making fun of myself.
that looks pretty
Oh.
good.
No executive outhouse, eh?
I think he sells those a little raisin kit or something because it don't look like the door opens on it.
Well, I'm going to call it a night, but I'm glad you guys had a good time. The pictures now look like you really had some great stuff there.
It was a pretty good show. It was a small show, but it was, I mean, in physical size, even compared to the NMRA. But whereas at the thing I give it credit for is that most everything was interesting there. Whereas at the NMRA show, it wasn't that much larger, but I was interested in about 10% of the stuff at the NMRA show.
My guess is you had a lot higher quality models at this thing than you
oh
do.
yeah, a lot of
Yes.
But,
Yeah, all big vendors.
Well, from
Good
my
catch up with
understanding,
Charles.
the Fine Scale Expo's never that big, but it's more focused strictly on this right here, fine scale work,
That's
Yeah.
it. And really good videos. Last couple of videos you've on your Bottom Road University channel. So anybody else who doesn't follow Miles on his Bottom Road University needs to go check out the couple videos he's posted recently and subscribe to his channel because they're pretty doggone interesting.
Yeah, new one came out today, as a matter of fact.
yeah, I think it's one of my better ones from a video standpoint, not necessarily the content, but I really tried to do a little better video production on it. But anyway.
You're too hard on yourself.
Yeah, well,
And your video production's always pretty good. That was just the descriptive effort of that. I mean, that drop down, and anybody else, just go check it out. You know what we're talking about. That drop down effect was just exceptional. So it deserved you doing the justice that you did with that video.
Well, knowing Miles and all, when I saw his one video at the end where he previewed the drop down, showing himself coming through the door and shutting it, and he gets everything, and then he throws that thumbs up. I like to fell out of the chair laughing on that one.
His videos make me feel like I'm actually watching TV because it's like welcome back to my railroad. It's like if you're watching like a TV program.
thank you. I appreciate it. Really. I just hope everybody else likes it too.
Yeah,
Keep it-
Ron's Trains and Things said, yes, Miles, that door is amazing.
It is amazing how easy it works with that sliding door track. Anybody that comes to Kansas City, I'll let you lower the door. I mean, lower the thing. It's really easy to make it work. It's really kind of cool.
Miles, if you charge $1, you're gonna make some cash.
That's it. Put a K in right there. $1.
Dollar left.
Donations for lowering the gate, right?
Donations for buying the replacement hinges, but it's such an original idea. I mean, I'm amazed. Never seen anybody try
The
to think
funny
exactly.
thing is, I had the guy come by from the NMRA 2 days ago, I guess now, or yesterday, and he and his wife walked in, and I was behind him, and I shut the thing down, and here
Before
comes the thing across, and he turns around and he looks around, and all of a sudden he's surrounded by the buildings, and he says, "How do you get out?" I thought, all right, it worked.
I told you that a few months ago, didn't I?
Yeah, because I mean, you get in there and there's no way, there's no windows, there's no doors, nothing shows once you're in and that thing's down. It's really kind of cool.
So, did you get the verdict yet?
Verdict: yes, I'm on the tour.
Yeah, very good.
I've not seen the schedule, but he approved the layout, so I will be on the tour. And so will Joe Robertson. He went there next, and then Dale Fetterplace will be on. Those are all good layouts.
Is Priest's layout on the tour?
as far as I know, yes, he is planning on being on. He's the convention chair, but I'm sure he'll take off for an afternoon or an evening and have his layout open. I can't imagine that as editor of RMC and as his wife, of course, edits the NMRM magazine, I can't imagine they won't have their layout open.
Well, no, but yours is, I'm driving to Kansas City to see your layout, but your layout more than anybody else's, of course. But I'd really like to see, especially after you did the tour that you did of his layout that was so interesting. But I really look forward to seeing his in person as well.
Well, and he's an extremely fast builder. He'll be much further along by the time next summer rolls around.
That's amazing. He's pretty busy fella.
He is. He's dedicated and he really gets things done. He's pretty cool. We used to office together. I was in the basement and he was on the first floor when he had Paired Rail, had the magazines at that time before he bought RMC and the Gazette.
Yeah.
But he's pretty intense. He really is. Anyway, I'm going to head for bed, guys. Like I say, the show looked great. I'm hoping maybe I can go next year. But keep it up. You guys are doing a great job.
Yeah. Appreciate you coming on, Moss.
Take care.
Miles.
Yeah, Miles.
I should have bought this kit. I kicked around buying a good kit. This is what I want to buy anyway. I want to build that kit. I just don't really, it doesn't really have a spot belongs on my layout. I just want to build it so bad. And I don't typically fall prey to building things or buying rolling stock or locomotives that don't belong in my era of my layout. But that kit just, it's another Imagine That Laser Arm. But I just like that kit so bad.
I think you should get it just to break out of your prototypical addiction.
Buy it and figure out someplace. It's just worth doing. It's just such a. Of all the kits there, from all the people, there's a few that are, from Foscale was there, Nick and Nora, of course, Imagine That Laser Art. I mean, all the, and all the big guys were represented. There's Fine Scale Miniatures. There's, pretty much everybody was either represented or was directly there in, the scratch build space. And between and Imagine That Laser Art stuff, I've already built his stuff, talked to Nick, interviewed him on here, and had several conversations with him outside of the community. And his stuff was in the top of the most impressive stuff to see in person. It's good.
Yeah, I love that little diorama you had set up.
Yeah, the street, because like I said, I was kind of fascinated with roads right now, because that's, we'll be doing some of that on the Fine Scale show over the next little bit, because we've got these couple buildings. I've got a couple buildings, and that I need to play it into a scene, and roads and sidewalks are critically important to urban scenery. And real important to get right. Actually, that's something I should have mentioned before Miles left, because he has a real good idea of printing the roads, taking a picture from high up and having them printed out. I like this color scheme on that too. Probably
he talked about that. Didn't he talk about that on one of the Trainmasters TV? Or where did he talk about that on?
On one of our shows, he had talked about or he was talking about that Centra building material. And actually, I think it was on when he was on like the Saturday show or on his Tuesday show when he toured his layout again and was talking about the Centra buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about, I think that's what he talked about. He was talking about the idea of taking the printing that people are now getting pretty open to for structures, because it's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, the printed backdrop structures are just incredible.
So, not to interrupt you, Andy, quick, but before you leave this picture.
Yep, that's why I paused there.
This is to give Bob a plug over on Tuna Model Works. Tuna Model Works typically is a big, I wouldn't say a big name, but a name in O scale, typically 2-rail, 3-rail. And he has, for you narrow gauge O scale guys, he's got a nice water tower. He does have some HO stuff. If you go to Altoona Model Works, I think .com is his website. But this is the roundhouse that I'm thinking about using, and I'm part of my layout. It's a beautiful kit. It's a mixture of cast resin for the walls and wood.
Yeah, wood timber, wood flooring, the piping and stuff that's along it, and the lighting details and all that stuff.
I love the post and beam construction.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that roundhouse kit is actually based. Bob has a book, a UP book, that has like pretty much a lot of the standard UP drawings for a lot of their buildings that they had, and that's actually a prototypical. That's an HO scale diesel house right there.
Well, and that HO scale diesel house is like 2.5 foot by 4 foot or something, maybe, or maybe 2.5 by 3 foot. It's huge,
Hmm.
absolutely huge. I was hoping that I got a picture of the roundhouse that kind of showed its sheer size. It's like 3 foot deep, maybe a little
Uh,
more, 4 foot deep.
yeah, probably about 4 feet deep.
It's absolutely huge, and of course, at O scale, it would be. But the picture's not doing enough justice to see how overwhelming big that is.
And what's nice about it is the windows. I praise those windows because you can really, like, if you're at the layout, you can really sneak down and look in there. At the locomotives.
I wonder what they're made out of. Wonder if he's using, because I've tried several things. The only thing I've got that great effect from is using real glass.
Yeah, I don't know what he's using. I mean,
Looks like acetate.
I mean, I see him all. I mean, I don't see him all the time, but I see him. When I go to the one show I talk about all the time. If I remember, I'll ask him.
Yeah, folding table he's got there. Those folding tables are 3 foot deep, or at least the ones I have are. So that building's 3 foot by probably 2 foot or so. It's big though.
Yeah. I mean, he's got some nice stuff. I mean,
Oh, and then there's Hunter Line.
We spent a lot of time with
Rick.
Hunter because both of the boys, both of those crazy guys I was running around with were fascinated by the Hunter Line stuff. Flashing TV.
Yeah, spent a little money in there, Underline.
Yeah, Hunter Line got both of you guys out of a bit.
I don't know what you're talking about, Andy, but anyways. Oh, you mean this? Hold on. You mean this that I bought?
Yeah, and apparently talked you into converting scales.
No. It's just that the S scale looks so much better for 0-30.
This is that microlumina, something like that.
Microlumina.
Yeah. Flashing fluorescent effect is just very creative.
We should have taken that other hot dog stand up there for presentation. Ralph's.
Oh gosh. All right, that's the stuff I got for the vendor room. So, also we did a little rail fanning. I got a few other things too, but actually, so there were some clinics, of course. There's not a lot of picture material to take in the clinics, but and I know a lot of people have talked about this stuff in our other shows. The skater foam stuff. Ralph's talked about it. Miles talked about it, used it. A bunch of people have talked about it, used it. I think that's what AJ built his module. Those modules he was showing off on Facebook or on JPlease out of. But I can't. Something about seeing it and banging on it in person that really convinced me. It's pretty doggone impressive. And that's just, some Rick's sides or something like that. Some Rick's rails stuck on a piece of gator foam. It's got a wood surface, so all the things that you can get out of the wood material, that looks a little funky, but everything else looks, the concrete looked pretty good. It's just wood, so you can carve it. But it's incredibly stout. If there was a way to get the large sizes of this material, the shipping constraint is a real problem because.
So Miles and I were talking about this over the weekend when he was in the chat, and he suggested that possibly you go to one of your local sign vendors, and ask them maybe if they would sell you or give you their scrap.
I've tried that up here, and every time I say the word gator foam or gator board, they know nothing about it. They have no idea what it is.
I've expected that too.
I guess a lot of sign companies use it for the gas stations, when they do the fold signs on top of the pumps or whatever, because it could take the elements. So I don't know, but
Stuff's expensive though. I mean, it's a 4x8 sheet. It's stouter than a sheet of plywood, much more dimensionally accurate, and a quarter the weight. So, but you know, a 4x8 sheet is $128 for half-inch thick stuff. So, and what I need is a 3/16. I think that's all I need is the 3/16 material. But still, $100 a sheet, and then dealing with the shipping problem of shipping a 4x8 sheet or something. So,
yeah, the you could certainly replace not put plywood on your layout and just put that on there.
well,
Yeah.
the gentleman who had this clinic going on about the gator foam, he was showing. Of course, there was no point in taking pictures because they've been such low quality from the projector. But he built his layout. All the road bed of his layout was built on gator foam with gator foam risers. So he built, a 1x3 subframe of the layout, and he had modules built entirely in gator foam, and he sells modules. Um, but he built all the road bed, everything out of it. So if you had good access to it, it's probably the most superior material to use. And I am trying to find the source for it.
And even I asked him personally about the larger scales, and he said a half-inch sheet of that would have no problem, as long as you were in between your spacing on your framing, probably about 16 inches on center.
Especially the half-inch stuff. I mean, the weight you have at O scale is not going to be enough to straight with that. Me and Chris did go out and visit a layout, so I'll hop through a few of these pictures while we talk about it. Me and Chris went out with Mike, made a trip out to Horseshoe Curves. We have a few pictures I can show you here in a minute. I think Chris has got a few.
I have a video.
Yeah, Horseshoe was pretty impressive. The pictures and camera don't do it justice. It's like a mile or mile and a half of track. It's over a mile of track that you can see just standing there as it completely wraps around you more than 270 degrees around you. Our layout's kind of interesting, like from a track planning design perspective, and he used spline roadbed. So all the things are right. Of course, there's no scenery on it, so it's not, cosmetically as impressive. So, but structurally, it was interesting. Nice enough fella.
Modeling the PRR.
Yeah, I think it's quite large. Mountains are quite tall. From scenery from bottom to top, some 4 foot or so, 3.5 foot. So I think it'd be real impressive when you get some scenery on it. His panels were pretty nice. Had a helix. It's a reasonably interesting. A lot of crazy wiring.
Real nice guy.
Yeah.
I think he was supposed to be closed. I think he sat there and talked to Andy and I for half an hour.
Yeah, I was saying, all right, I know it's time for you to close up. We'll get out of your hair, but once he gets some scenery on it, it'll be a pretty interesting layout. But and he cut his own. He used a weird jig to make the homoso. So it had some interesting characteristics. So he had a jig that he had got out of RMC or the design for out of RMC or something, where it's homosoap, and there's like a 1/4 inch of the homosoap material here, and then he carves this bit off by using a jig and turning it up on a table saw in that jig to cut back at an angle this way and back at an angle this way to cut your roadbed profile. It's a pretty interesting method to do it. And a lot better, a lot more refined method than my, hack at it with the utility knife method. But yeah, pretty good size layout, pretty interesting. There weren't a lot of layouts that were going to be easy to get to and tour.
It's the thing between the show and everything, and you know, trying to come back from the show and relax, and you know, we ought to go home on Sunday, so it wasn't really a lot of time to just get in the car and go look at layouts either.
Right, but it's a good size layout. There was this goofy guy there that
Yeah,
I couldn't get away. From.
that guy's a jerk.
He does drive very cautiously, though.
Yeah, because I want to go home.
Just different approaches.
Right. Driving what you was like driving the Fast and Furious.
It's not that fast and furious. So
Yeah, he says not that fast. People will be surprised how a Camry will smoke the tires trying to keep up with Andy.
Yeah.
I try to explain to people that have a hard time with mine is that with my driving is if you spend your entire life in a mad dash rush all the time, you just do things at a different pace than other people do.
Oh, yeah.
I have no choice but to be productive at what I do.
Don't get him started, please.
Chris got the wild idea for us to hike our way up there.
No, it wasn't my idea. You're the one that was just like, oh, it takes me 2 minutes to get up there. I was the one who beat you up there.
Yeah, I'm sure that's true, yeah.
I'm sure that's true.
Engineers sure know it's a big show. They blow the horn all the way through there.
They probably have to. It's probably like a rule.
Yeah, there's nobody up there watching over the place. Even the funicular or whatever is vernacular is automated. But it's a long way right through there. It's a really good view. I see why so many people are inspired to model the horseshoe. It's incredibly interesting, especially this time of year. The colors. It seems like a no-brainer if you're going to model Pennsylvania. It seems like kind of a no-brainer to model autumn. Of course, that could be the same. The same could be said of the Virginia area I model. I've just seen so many people model autumn. I mean, it's just such a good fall is such a good season to model. It's just that so many people do it. That's the only ones I took up on horseshoe.
Well, I don't know. I think I have the same train as you here. But if you want, I can show mine.
We were only up there for, I'm not sure, not long. And actually, while I got my screen share, is one more interesting thing. This guy used taskboard to make street trackage, which is streets are a little funny, but the street trackage was really quite nice. And he done a clinic on it, and he had one technique using plaster, which is all right, and he had this taskboard, and I think the taskboard made a better. I think it just looked better. I think it would be easier to support too.
Yeah, for Sparky, real quick, the homicide is a little bit different from your ceiling tile. Where'd you get them pictures at?
Look at those goofy guys.
Yeah.
They're all goofy. Even that short guy, look at him.
Yeah, they made me squat down. So you guys who think I'm that much shorter than everybody.
I stepped on Andy like 5 times during the show. Johnny's like, stop, you just stepped on Andy.
Not again. All right, that's the pictures I've got. Oh, yeah, there you are.
Do you want me to hit play?
Please. And we were only there about 15 minutes, something like that. And 3 trades come through.
Yeah.
Well, I guess seems like 3 trades, either 2 trades at a deadhead set of helpers, or a couple engines running light, or just a power move, or maybe 2 trades of that power move. I can't remember. But we weren't there very long, and there was that much activity. So, 3 tracks are there. Of course, people know that Pennsylvania used to be a 4-track main line. And I always say, people who talk about modeling that's so doggone hard to do, because just the amount of sheer traffic. Even these days, when railroad traffic is massively declined over what it was in its heyday, and there was back in the heyday of this era, there was over 100 trains a day coming through there. So if you're going to model any, even a couple hours of operation, you're going to run 20, 30 trains. So pretty tough to model.
I try to get the feel of how the train just surrounded you while you were there.
And you're seeing, a mile long train. You're seeing every bit of the train as it's stretched out in both directions. It's really cool. I see why it was a must see. Anybody go down to it, you've got to see Horseshoe. If you're going anywhere close, it's worth kind of steering to the side to go check that out. So, well, I had a real good time. I'm glad we all came up to meet at that show. I sure enjoyed it with you fellas.
Yeah,
it was
really
a good
looking
time.
forward to that. But I'm looking forward to Amherst. That's coming up. That's going to be a fun show. I'm really looking forward to the Kansas City show in 2018. We'll have a real good time then.
I'd like to go to Amherst, but I don't know if it's going to happen, but we'll see.
Amherst is at such a bad time of the year for most people's lives. And it's the worst time of the year weather-wise, but it's the biggest model railroad show in the world. So, pretty hard to argue with.
Yeah, North Star is asking, Amtrak run on the Horseshoe?
Yep.
Yeah, they run.
Amtrak runs.
Somebody was. Yeah, matter of fact, the guy at work was telling me he's ridden through Horseshoe Curve on Amtrak.
Yeah, about everything. Every type of stuff runs through Horseshoe, because it's big open main line without any clearance issues anywhere else. It was the major east-west corridor for 100 years. It still is, I suppose. A tremendous amount of traffic goes over that grade.
The one product that we didn't talk about that I thought was pretty cool was what Cityscape was. The City Scenes. Johnny bought some of their stuff to make the
City Classics.
City Classics.
Go
Yeah.
Go Sacco.
Do you know what kind of film he uses? Like, is this normal film, or is it? Because you could backlight them.
Yeah, I would think he had a backlit. I just get this instinct that you'd be better to stick it on a piece of foam cord and front light it. Because when you backlight it, it looks like you're looking at a TV instead of looking at something. To me, instead of looking at something real, it seems like you'd want to front light it.
No, the ones that he had set up that were backlit looked real good. They looked really good. He had two demonstrations, 2 buildings set up with them, and they were backlit.
And he was set up. He had a lot larger setup for the NMRA show in Indianapolis. He had a small operational layout there. And I suppose he's pretty good friends with Lionel Strang. Lionel was hanging out in his booth at the NMRA. He's been around the hobby a long, long time, I think, and he's like pretty good friends with Maggie May, whatever.
Rod
Stewart. Yeah, thank you.
Stewart.
Rod Stewart. He's supplier.
Yeah,
Rod Stewart
I just
has a
don't-
relationship.
I just don't think it's normal film. It's got to be
Because
something.
you can see it. You can backlight it, see it, or you don't have to backlight it and you still see it. It's dimmer, darker, but you can still see everything.
But it's still basically a pre.
Yeah, I bought 2.
I
I
thought
bought
you
the
did.
3-inch and I bought the 4-inch.
Does it feel like transparency film or overhead projector film?
I haven't opened the package.
That's what by looking at it, that's what it looked like it was.
Yeah, 'cause
It
I
looks
bought
like a good
one.
product. So it's a pretty
I think
interesting
one
way
the
to do that.
3 inch. I think the 3 inch was a general store, and the 4 inch was a hardware store.
Okay.
I'll
The
tell you,
restaurant
yeah,
one he had was pretty cool too.
yeah,
He had
one
that
of my
one that
favorites.
was like it was a bar on the left and had like the seats and it kind of like it wasn't bright. It was like dim, like you would feel like when you walk into a pub. You know what I mean? Like it's not that bright. It's
Yeah,
it's a dimmer atmosphere. You know, because you don't want to be bright light because you're going to get intoxicated. So
yeah.
Well, that's an
Well,
interesting
just
way to
whatever
solve
lighting
that.
you
So,
stick behind it, that's what you're gonna get.
so that was a show. It's a worthwhile show. If I think if you live anywhere in the area, I would compare it in scale to like an RPM meet. If it one of the larger RPM meets like one in Chicago, the Marpa meet or the St. Louis meet at RPM, but it's a similar caliber of modeling. So I think we had a real good time. It's right up the alley of the stuff we try to do on this show. That's why it seemed kind of obvious to forego our current modeling projects and kind of talk about that show. But for the rest, we got one more show this year coming up in December, which I think is going to land on a Thursday because of the Christmas holiday for the Fine Scale show.
December
We have
14th.
one more show in the pardon me. Yeah, I think it's 14th. That's what it is. It's December 14th. So we got one more show this year. We'll take a look at Lloyd was gone, so we didn't get a last show, so we get a chance to catch up with him on his interior that he had done. We done the shadow box stuff that I was doing last show, and Lloyd has some shadow boxes done on his structure as well that looked really good interior work. So I look forward to getting a chance to see that stuff on the next show. Going into next year, we're gonna finish up the. I've got two structures. One, the Imagine That laser art structure and the plastic structure uh, that I'd originally purchased just to show off some Arduino stuff with Barry a couple years ago, and then just decided that as I've become more familiar with the fine scale ideologies and such, or the methodologies that I could actually use it, that it would fit on my layout, even though it's plastic. I've had kind of a tendency to steer clear of plastic, but I think the level of quality you can get is irregardless, and we've said that every one of us has said that on a show, whether you use plastic or wood or plaster or whatever. And I'm pretty happy with those results. So we'll go into plating those because I'm a big fan of building a structure from the core fundamentals up through the details to plating on a layout. So December and predominantly in the first part of next year, we look forward to planting some structures in the layout and doing some of the urban scenery around planting it in the layout.
All right,
Make
Andy.
sure you don't have,
Andy,
sir.
keep talking a minute. They want to see the that film we were talking about. I want to go try and find it real quick. I'll
Absolutely.
be right back.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting stuff. And we'll be plating about a layout, all the things like we talked about when we built those or I built that little diorama base. Miles did too. Several of us that built the first structure that we built for the first couple episodes of the Fine Scale Show series when we started it. And the key ideas, the things that are kind of pet peeves of most serious modelers is these multi-ton, hundreds or thousands or whatever ton structures that tend to float on a lot of layouts. So the plating on a layout and the things that kind of drive it doesn't matter how awesome the structure is if you don't plant it correctly, if you don't bring the seed home. So I've got some etched fire escapes we work with, but predominantly street and sidewalk materials, and integrating the structure on a separate entity and it integrates correctly will be in some of our upcoming shows. Also, Miles, again, anybody who's not a subscriber of his Model University channel should go check that out. He recently did a show of the brass etched fire escapes, which is an O scale. The ones I've got are an HO scale, but he did a video on those, and they look incredible. And the fire escapes from Imagine That laser art that are in wood or which look incredible. They really do look incredible. And the ones from Tichy and the one from Walther's Corner Stone that are in styrene. Though they look good. There's
Master
nothing
Model
wrong with
Works has them too.
who.
Monster Model Works has fire escapes too.
That's right.
And so does Wild Hair Models.
But Wild Hair has those brass ones. And while everybody else's looks absolutely incredible, they look really good. There is just a step above. It's mixed media. Use the right tool for the right job, and there's plenty of things where wood or plastic works fine. But if you want to model metal, especially the detail of those fire escapes, I just can't imagine beating the etched brass.
Nothing beats the real thing.
That's it. So I ordered those from Wild Hair myself. So I'll be using those as I plant my structure on the layout and integrating those.
Chris and anybody else who does O-scale, he does photo etched in O-scale as well. Wild Hair.
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now.
And he's got like shopping carts and just
That's the shopping cart. It was in my VW van diorama.
Really? Oh, off
Yep.
to the side or something in the scratch?
Right by the side door.
So, just for why we're talking about it, the 3-story brass etched fire escape by Wild Hair is in HO scale is $16.95. The 2-story brass edge fire escape in O is $34.95. Just for
bad.
anybody out there that's
that is a first class product. I've got it. It's still in the package. I haven't done anything with it yet because I would do it on the show, but it looks pristine.
and not only that is if anybody's out there, we're talking about Miles is with the fire escapes. If you kind of even watch that video, look at what he does with those central buildings. If you haven't been following it, because I am a true believer in that, and I never saw it in real life. I don't think I really have to believe it because you can just tell by the way he does it. And if you're a Trainmaster subscriber, there's a good video on that and how he does that. How he takes a picture of the building, how he brings it into a photo editing program, how he takes it, and if the building is from he takes a picture tomorrow, and he's modeling 1959 or whatever year he models, he takes the building and he modifies it to make it look like it's from the past. So and it's not really hard to do that the way he does it, and just take a look and adding those little details like the fire escapes or awnings, or just make that, even though it's a photo, it just makes it pop out at you, and it's not very expensive to do neither.
Well, he talks about in his most recent video about the fire escape where he had left the photo or left the fire escapes intact in the photo, and he went back and had them reprinted using Photoshop to remove the fire escape and go back and put those 3D elements. So while paper and printed backdrop material for structures are great, vast majority of the structures on my layout are just stuck to the wall with very little depth. The thing that it's just like in modeling in general, the details what does it. It's what drives it home. But if you do that little bit of Photoshop work and remove some of those details, or take a paper structure, cut the windows out, and use some Grant line castings. Oh yeah, there's that buggy. See, that looks incredible.
And along with the shopping cart, you get the little milk crate as well.
Yeah, it looks.
Hang on, let me get you up. All right.
You just can't beat etched for that. You cannot get that level of finesse in anything other than plastic and metal. And plastic, it's so doggone fragile. So that's the way to do that. Do you solder it together or glue it together?
Solder.
Yeah, that's what I suspect to be the. I know Miles did with his at O-Scale. It's kind of a no-brainer, but yeah, it's the right material for that job, hands down. So those fire escapes are the way to go. And like Chris said, he's put them off the website. They're pretty cheap. I mean, that's like a 2 or 3 story kit. So
All right,
I mean, to get a pre-con structure, you might need a couple of them, but they're $15 or whatever. John, did you get those films?
Yeah.
Found them.
That's a city classic there. That's the film.
Oh, yeah.
It's 4 inches wide, probably close to 3 3/8 to 3.5 tall. But that's what it looks like right now. That's still in the package, so you're going. It'll be a little dark. But that's the 4-inch wide one.
Essentially printed on a overhead projector film, so you can get some overhead projector film paper and print them. But
And that's the storefront, small storefront he called it. And that's what it looks like.
Did you see overhead projector film, Andy?
yeah, because you could get that. I mean, it's not that it's easy. It used to be easy to find. Used to you could go to anybody carrying paper and you could find that. You can't find it just anywhere anymore. But Amazon, order some overhead projector paper.
Jennifer, that's City Classics. Just Google City Classics.
He pretty much when he does HO scale.
Yep. If you take the concept or using it in some background structures works for any scale, but take the concept of printing them out yourself, do a little Photoshop work, print them out. If that's the right way to do it, and I'm not arguing either way, they're using photos to do interiors is a no-brainer because you rarely want to model with all the detail parts that depth. So I am very in favor of and a big fan of modeling a few detail parts up front. So if you have a cafe, putting a couple chairs, a couple tables, the edge of a bar, and then putting a piece of printed material behind it for the remainder of the storefront. So you only have to model, back into the structure and a few details.
Yeah, there wasn't no website on the packaging, so I'd say just
cityclassics.biz, B-I-Z.
Joe Sacco, he's at most of those conventions, been around a long time. He's got some pretty nice structure kits too, but they look pretty good.
And he will be at Amherst.
Yeah, he's a nice fella too. I like Joe.
Hey Andy, really quick back on the show, on the show we went to, just to kind of mention that Joey Ricard kind of gave us all a present.
Oh, he did.
Johnny. Yeah, he gave us. He had these left, and they were little kits from his clinic that we didn't go to, but he had them left, and he was staying in our hotel. So I happened to go up there one night. I think it was the same night that Andy. It was Saturday night after we got back from going to see the layout, and I'm going up to my hotel room, and Joey and his wife, Doreen, were staying in the same floor as me, and he goes, "Hey, you're part of YouTube Model Builders. Do you want this?" I said, "Sure." So here I come and knocking on Andy's door and said, "Hey, look what I've been doing for the last half an hour." And I got 3 dioramas, but maybe one day we can maybe finish them or whatever and just use them.
Sure.
Just
do a little scenery, do some scenery clinic work. Yeah. I've been a big fan of the Fine Scale show not being dedicated to structures. I think Fine Scale applies to everything there is. I've said all this before, but I mean, I got into Fine Scale because of the track work. I got into the detail parts, the track, the tie plates and fish plates and all those details, and then just grew into, from becoming a Proto 87 modeler, grew into caring about more detail in other parts of my modeling that I may not have cared as much about because of the detail of the track work. So we've done one on scenery. I'd like to do some more dedicated to particular scenery techniques that give you the fine scale effect, because I don't care how incredible your craftsman structure modeling is, if your trees and tall grass works and 3D scenery effects don't measure up, then the illusion starts to collapse.
Well, I'll tell you what, Andy, why don't you give Sparky 107 the date for Amherst he was asking, and then we'll wind the show up.
Look that up for him real quick. Let's see. And for Amherst also, Ralph is doing a couple clinics up there, as am I, among a whole host of much more esteemed modelers than I am. are doing some really good clinics.
There's about 4 or 5 of you from this community that are doing clinics.
Yeah, Barry does clinics. Mike Dettinger's doing clinics.
Miles, you.
Oh yeah,
Ralph?
Miles. Of course, Miles. Runs that clinics.
Miles runs it.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying a part of this community, though.
January 27th to 28th for the main part of the show. There's clinics today and a couple days before that starting on Thursday. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of that weekend. Saturday and Sunday being the 27th to 28th.
And make sure you bring comfortable shoes because there's a lot of walking. There's 4 or 5 buildings to go through.
4 buildings and the best I understand, you probably ought to bring something that has wheels on it because it's pretty unaccomplishable to actually see it all. It's kind of like Disney World. You're never going to see it all. You're going to have to pick and choose.
You're going to get 2 days to see it, Saturday and Sunday.
Yep.
Like those shoes with the wheels in the heel, like the kids have.
So
Absolutely,
just,
that's it. Skate your way through.
Go through the vendors list, pick who you really want to see, look at the floor layout plan, and map it out, and that's how you go.
Yeah, you need a battle strategy. You need to figure it out how to go, and it's crowded, so it's a lot of people at the biggest model railroad show in the world. So
yeah, don't take no tripods with you.
I'm following Ralph. If I need a battle strategy, me and Ralph are going to go together.
Okay.
Grab him by the back,
whatever.
Push him through.
We'll be going in different directions because you're going. Oh, I'm going HO.
It's supposed to be really something. I haven't been to an Amherst show, but been to for a long time. It's such a neat opportunity.
We're not doing the buddy. We're not doing the buddy system. Okay, I thought we were doing the buddy system.
But I'm doing a couple of clinics. One on the DIY versus DIY electronics. One on my styrofoam layout building techniques. Ralph, what's your clinics?
I'm doing the weathering boxcars, locomotives, and also the sign clinic, the weathered signs.
Oh, I've heard about that. Yeah. That's such a good technique. It's just...
And that's on Friday. Both of them are on Friday.
I think both of mine are on Friday, too.
Well, tell you what, we'll go ahead and wind this one up.
Yes,
just real quick, Chris, the buddy system there you're talking about, yeah, that's where Ralph is on the other side of the room going, "Hey, buddy."
Yeah.
Do I know you?
Yeah.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us. I know we didn't do any modeling this time, but the Fine Scale Show is kind of right up all of our alley. So if we really did have a good time, anybody who's nearby should really attend it for a future show. Otherwise, like we're talking about, we got Amherst coming up and the NMRA in 2018 in Kansas City, which is kind of going to be a must attend for our community, if at all possible, because there's so many of us that are attending that show. And Miles Hale, getting to see his layout in person will be really something to look forward to. So thanks everybody for watching us on this episode of Fine Scale Show. Look for us to get back to some building and cameras down action for the December 14th show.
All right. I want to say go to YouTubemodelbuilders.com. There you can find the schedules for the Tuesday, Wednesday show. Those are at 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern time. The Thursday and the Saturday once a month show is 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern time. Also click on the eMag and sign up for an email notification when the eMag comes out. JD and his team do a good job on that. This month being November, JD dedicated the magazine to N-scalers. So we all have a pretty good issue right there alone. Also, there's been a few changes in the schedule. Tomorrow night was supposed to be into the locomotive shop with Joe. Unfortunately, Joe's has some family issues that he's having to attend to. So into the locomotive shop has been canceled tomorrow night. He will be back in December, so be sure and tune in for that. This Saturday, the Thursday night show's still this week. And then the 18th of this month, this coming Saturday, is going to be the live show. And then the last scheduled show we have is Ralph's Wuthering Show, from Workbench to Mainline. And December, I've already updated the schedules on the website, YouTubeBallBuilders.com. So go there and check the schedules. Be sure, because December we did have to move a few of the shows around to accommodate traveling for the holiday for Christmas and all. So there's been a little change there. So be sure to check that. I will announce the shows just before we get to them, so you'll have them fresh in your mind. It won't tune in at the wrong time. I want to thank everybody for coming in tonight. Andy, thank you. Chris, Ralph, and Miles for doing the show tonight. So we shall see you Thursday night on the Thursday night Johnny Mile Railroad Talk Show. So y'all have a good evening. We'll see you then.